Good morning. Welcome to the Sunday morning worship service of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church in Naperville, Illinois. I am Ann Ariano, a member of your Board of Trustees. We are glad you are here, whether you are present in the sanctuary this morning or watching remotely. It is so good to be together. We welcome you to our church and invite you to get to know us better after the service. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold that there are many paths to truth and meaning, and we support one another on our spiritual and religious journeys while holding ourselves in covenant. The rich liberal legacy of Unitarian Universalism is rooted in our faith's 7 principles. These principles guide our faithful actions as we work to transform the world to be more just and equitable. You may find these principles listed on our website or on the wall in our social hall. Whoever you are, wherever you are on life's journey, wherever you are in the world, you are welcome here. And I have one more announcement. The DuPage UU Church annual meeting is today, following the service. Families, no worries. While you are in here having fun, the kids will be occupied with their own fun. As we have edits to the bylaws, we need a 40% quorum in attendance for those votes. That's about 98 folks in person or online. If you haven't picked up your voting card on the way into the sanctuary this morning, we'll pause for a few minutes after the service for you to do so and to take care of any brief business that calls. For those joining remotely, the Zoom room will be open shortly after the service, and you will check in via chat. We hope you have visited the annual meeting page on the church website to familiarize yourselves with the business items and the news and recognition portion of the agenda. We do have a special guest here today, too. Take advantage of our DuPage UU Slice of Democracy in action. We hope to see you at the meeting. The question box sermon. What burning question do you have for your minister? During our service on June 11, Reverend Mandy will take your questions. Fun or serious? How does the universe work? Do ministers use swear words? Can I answer that? Please submit your questions to Reverend Mandy by email or filling out a card and placing it in the box outside her office. All are welcome to submit a question or a few questions. Reverend Mandy will try to answer as many as she can on the 11th. So now, if you are online, we invite you to greet each other through the chat. And if you are present here, I invite you to turn to someone you did not come with and greet them with a wave and a good morning greeting.
Morning. Please join me in reading the chalice sliding words, which are the principles that were previously referred to, and we'll sing. Oh my God! You're never supposed to admit that you made a mistake. You should never do that. Okay. So our principles. Number 1. The inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, acceptance of one another, and encouragement to spiritual growth in our organizations, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, the right of conscience, and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. The goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. Thank you.
Welcome to this place of worship. Welcome to this place of love, of communal flourishing. We enter this space to open our minds, to expand our hearts, and to see the sacred within each other. Come, let us worship together.
Morning has come, arise and greet the day. Dance with joy and sing a song of gladness. The light of hope here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. Will you please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing hymn number 1000, Morning Has Come. Morning has come, arise and greet the day. Dance with joy and sing a song of gladness. The light of hope here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. A new day dawns, once more the gift is given. Wonder fills this moment shared together. The light of peace here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. Open our eyes to see that life abounds. Open hearts to welcome it among us. The light of love here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home.
once again, I invite you to read with me. This time it is our mission statement for DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church. Our mission: we gather as an inclusive community to grow in character, mind, and spirit, and to transform the world toward fairness, love, and compassion.
Our vision of beloved community is rooted in the relationship we have with each other, our world, and creation. Each week, we take time from our worship services to share our joys and concerns. Today's flowers were given by Joe and Jane Gano in celebration of their 53rd wedding anniversary. And many, many more to both of you. From Caroline Bailey, yesterday, Hannah Ott, daughter of Neil Ott and Anita Malik, who grew up in this church, married Vinnie Prisco in a wonderful ceremony in Batavia. Best wishes to the happy couple. Indeed, best wishes. From Anne Ariano and Carl Nash, it was a joyful May 27 as Ben Ariano married Carolyn Montegudo in Chicago with blended and extended families and lots of friends in attendance. We are so happy for them. Yes, many blessings to them on their marriage. And Barbara Sherman, joyfully announcing an engagement of granddaughter Felicia Koch to Jessica Batuni. Yay. Oh, in this season of joy, with the cottonwood flying, we are grateful for this community that celebrates the joys. And we know that sometimes our joys or our sorrows are held here in our hearts. Whether spoken or unspoken, know that your community is here for you. This is what it means to be part of a beloved community. gave me goosebumps. Whew, that was beautiful. On this Membership Sunday, we invite those who have signed the membership book of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church, this one right here, to come forward to join Ann Ariano, our board president, and myself for a covenanting ceremony. Since last year, 21 new members have pledged themselves to our beloved community. Please come join me. I'm gonna have to move.
Membership? I'm on? Okay.
Oh, there you
Thank
are.
you. Sorry.
That's it.
Membership in a Unitarian Universalist church means entering into a covenant with our church. It is a voluntary act to join our church. We use no coercion. We do not require a set of beliefs. We do not condemn or deny salvation. Rather, we commit to finding truth with one another that we might transform ourselves and the world.
A covenant, which is at the core of our faith tradition, is a promise we make to one another. Like the covenants of marriage or that of being a parent, this covenant is a choice that you make now and each day that you are a part of this community. It is a choice that we make to covenant with you.
Today, you join in membership. This is a moment of excitement and possibility. It is also a moment that requires clarity and honesty as we make promises to each other. There may come a time when we are not a community of excitement and possibility for you. There may come a time when you might not bring us excitement and possibility. There may come a time when you feel that you are not fitting well and we disappoint you. There may come a moment when we may not be fitting well as a community and you may disappoint us.
These moments of not fitting well, they are uncomfortable moments, difficult moments, but they are also opportunities. If every one of us fit well all the time, all our lives, we would not be called to grow. This religion is not a club you join. It's an institution that you are called to co-create.
So this celebratory moment is also one of challenge, for we know that we may break one another's hearts. This covenant you are committing to is about co-creating the space we wish to be a part of and which we wish to bring to the world.
Know that we will carry you through those moments. Know that today's covenant means we ask you to carry us through those moments. This is what it means to be in covenant. Commitment to stay at the table even in the hard moments, because we know that the hard moments make the good ones. They let us flourish even more deeply together.
Covenants are mutual agreements, both parties committed to each other's growth and flourishing. Today, we covenant with you and you covenant with us to co-create an ever-evolving, beloved community that seeks to transform the world.
So on this Membership Sunday, we invite you to covenant with the members of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church. Do you promise to uphold and enact our 7 Unitarian Universalist principles? If so, please say we do.
We do. Do you promise to uphold and enact the DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church's mission to gather as an inclusive community to grow in character, mind, and spirit, and to transform the world toward fairness, love, and compassion.
Do you promise to seek out resolution and reconciliation in honesty and love when in the course of human relations mistakes are made, so that our beloved community may be co-created for the flourishing of all?
We do.
Members of the congregation, will you please rise in body or spirit? Now you, members of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church, do you reaffirm your commitment to our Unitarian Universalist 7 principles, promising to enact and uphold them in your everyday lives? We do.
Members of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church, do you reaffirm your commitment to uphold and enact the DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church's mission together as an inclusive community to grow in character, mind, and spirit, and to transform the world toward fairness, love, and compassion?
We do.
Members of the DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church, do you promise to seek out resolution and reconciliation in honesty and love when in the course of human relations mistakes are made so that our beloved community may be co-created for the flourishing of all?
We do.
And finally, do you, the members of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church, covenant with these new members, promising to companion them as they grow, to care for them in life's joys and sorrow, and to encourage them towards a free and responsible search for truth and meaning as full members of our congregation?
We do. It is with great joy and excitement that I welcome these new members into our community. Please join me in welcoming them to this beloved community.
Congregation, you may be seated. Our faith tradition has long embraced the symbolic act called the right hand of fellowship when welcoming new members into a congregation or a minister into the fellowship of ministry. Today, I, as DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church's minister, and Ann Ariano, as president of the Board of Trustees of this church, will offer you our hands as the right hand of fellowship to welcome you to our community. And we'll also be presenting you with a gift.
Yeah.
Just to be clear. Congratulations and
Thank you.
welcome. Maya, welcome you go. Welcome, Linda. Welcome, Jim. It's so good to see you, Jeff. Welcome. Welcome, Suzanne. Welcome, Sue. Welcome, Kate.
Thank you.
You're welcome. When you're done, you can go ahead and have a seat.
Class of 23 rules.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Jim.
23 rules.
Yeah.
On Membership Sunday, we also recognize our long-term members, those who have held this space sacred for our new members and all of our future members to join this beloved community.
This year, we will be recognizing the milestone anniversaries of members who reached these milestones in 2021, 2022, and this year in 2023. We've been away for a while.
Yes.
We invite you to stand when your milestone anniversary has been called, as they are listed in the program and projected on the screen.
For the members who have reached 5 years, please rise if your name is on this list. Thank you. You may be seated.
For those who have been here 10 years, if your name is on this list, please rise.
For those who have been here 15 years, please rise.
For those who have been here 20 years, please rise.
For 25 years, please rise. And this group includes a special person, Mike Albrow, who will actually be leaving us next week. So please make sure to give Mike a special goodbye on your way out today. Thank you for being part of this community for so long.
And 30 years, please rise.
"35 years, please rise."
"40 years, please rise. Mary Mossman.
She's here. "45 years, Joe and Jane Gano.
+50 years, Louise Schuster. I don't think Louise is here.
No. +60 years, Betty Brubaker, who is also not present. Each person here is a part in creating our community. It is because of each of you that each of us flourishes. It is because of you that we dream of beloved community. Thank you. Thank you for your time, your talent, your treasure, and your commitment to this community. At this time, I invite you to sing "This Little Light of Mine," and I invite the children to follow out through those doors. Steve Cooper is waiting for all kinds of fun things, including a castle bouncy house, which I'd much rather be on right now.
Giving of our treasure is how we reciprocate the many gifts we are given by this community. Your contribution, of course, supports the programs and operations of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church. Giving is also how we live our values in the world. Each month, we share our offerings with an organization nominated by the congregation and selected by the special offering team. During June, our special collection will benefit Youth Outlook of Naperville, nominated by the Do-Gooders Chalice Circle. Youth Outlook is the first social service agency in Illinois solely dedicated to the support of LGBTQ+ youth ages 12 to 20, offering drop-in centers for youth, parent support, and community education. Drop-in centers meet weekly and are a social setting for youth to meet other LGBTQ+ young people and talk on a variety of topics that really matter to them in a safe, supported, and celebrated space. This is a truly unique organization in our area. Participants can feel safe and supported in an environment that lets them express their feelings and be themselves, as well as have fun and be social. The offering is given and received in a spirit of generosity and gratitude.
This following piece that the choir is going to be offering this morning is a piece by Dan Forrest. It's a poem inspired, it's a Hafiz-inspired poem by Daniel Ladinsky that speaks of the matchless beauty of unconditional love. The words of this are, even after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, "You owe me." Look what happens with a love like that. It lights up the whole sky.
And now please join me in responsive reading 591. I call that church free. You'll read the words that are in italics and in a different color. I call that church free, which enters into covenant with the ultimate source of existence. It binds together families and generations, protecting against the idolatry of any human claim to absolute truth or authority. I call that church free, which brings individuals into a caring, trusting fellowship that protects and nourishes their integrity and spiritual freedom, that yearns to belong to the church universal. It is open to insight and conscience from every source. It bursts through rigid tradition, giving rise to new and living language, to new and broader fellowship. It is a pilgrim church, a servant church, on an adventure of the Spirit. The goal is the prophethood and priesthood of all believers, the one for the liberty of prophesying, the other for the ministry of healing. It aims to find unity in diversity under the promptings of the Spirit that bloweth where it listeth and maketh all things new.
I think our choir is on fire today. Thank you for your gifts to this service and our congregation. There once was a church. It was a good church. Several families had begun this church when they could find no other place that espoused the values that they shared. This church grew. It was excited about its mission. Children and youth attended and participated. The church stood together to address a major injustice in its local town, and it succeeded. It was a good church. And then things changed, as they always do, because life changes. The curriculum for youth and children hadn't changed for years because the Youth RE Committee thought that what had worked for their children should be good enough for the new children. And thus, by not changing, change came in the form of fewer families. Many committees had memories of those good old times. You know, the activities, gatherings, and classes which worked for so long with 150 people in attendance. But despite replicating those good old times, attendance dwindled. The church's minister stayed too long. And not only did they stay too long, they didn't take time to renew themselves. As a result, services became redundant and repetitive. When the church finally looked for a new minister, the church tried to find someone exactly like their old minister in the good old days. This church was a good church. They were still a good church at their core. The problem was they forgot that change happens. This story is not about one particular church, though it could be applied to many churches. It is a story of the moment. It's a story of our desire as humans to remain the same, to cling to what we know worked in the past. This is a story that is prevailing in way too many Unitarian Universalist congregations. But that's not who we are. Unitarian Universalism is a living tradition. Not only is that the phrase that we have historically used to describe ourselves, it's the reality by which we live our lives. We humans are always changing. We are a living tradition because we are a living, breathing people. We changed today. We reaffirmed our covenant to this congregation as we committed and covenanted to new members. We have changed. The story of that church is the story of a community denying the most essential fact of the human experience, change. In Octavia Butler's book, Parable of the Sower, she writes, "All that you touch, you change. All that you change, changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change." If God is change, a concept I love even as a non-theist, because it encapsulates all that I find is sacred within nature and science, then I would suggest that the church whose story I told is a story of idolatry. A story in which they chose to ignore the divine reality that change exists and transforms us, ideally into better beings, and rather they chose to embrace the idolatry of constancy. It was the idolatry of glorifying a moment that encapsulated what they considered as perfection, rather than the reality of life and the hope and possibility that life brings as it changes us. Now, this church continued. It didn't grow, but it didn't shrink either. Rather, the people who were close, and they cared for one another. Not at all a bad thing. But they couldn't see down the road. In fact, they struggled to see the future, let alone envision one. Their children and youth participation failed, And oftentimes, members would argue about whether to use organic, fair trade, or decaf coffee on Sunday morning, or whether the classrooms should be painted torrid teal or peachy keen. Sometimes the arguments got heated, but usually it just turned into resentment. They were still a good church, but they had turned into themselves. They forgot that the world existed. And then everything just shut down. It was called a pandemic. For many people in the church, it was a wake-up call. It reminded them of days like today, days when they became members of the church. Those people renewed their commitment and revived their passion for the church. Others remembered why they had joined and then realized that the church that they had joined was no longer the church that they were a part of. Others just slowly let the ties disappear. By the end of the pandemic, the church had some hard choices to make. Money was an issue. The building was falling apart. Their minister was leaving. They didn't want to deal with any more arguments about coffee hour, and their families were in crisis. Even those who had been reminded of their commitment struggled to figure out why they remained in those conditions. They only remembered the good old days. You see, this church didn't do what you did. This church didn't realize that when things got tough, like losing a minister or entering a pandemic, they could choose their own direction. They didn't, like you did, see a vision of themselves as a vibrant and thriving congregation with memories of the good old days, but not memories that dictated their future. This church, not this church, the church in the story, placed staff in a role of savior and status quo continuer. Rather, you brought in staff to help you embrace your vision. The church in this story made idols of who they were, unlike you, who embraced the need to change even when it was hard, because you knew that together you could flourish in your vision. I tell you this story, this terribly sad story, because it's the reality of most churches these days, most Unitarian Universalist churches these days. The moment that we are living in is a moment in which many churches are experiencing a slow and painful death, unless an intervention might take place. This story, it's not our story. Let me repeat that. It is not our story. It could have been, but it wasn't, and it isn't. You know that the dream is about transforming our world, and that to do that, you must transform yourself. Your story is not their story. Your story is one of resilience, of creativity, of adaptability, and above all, of change. You changed when your minister left. You changed when you had no minister for 8 months. You changed when your interim time was not exactly what you expected. You changed when you needed a governance system. You changed when you formed a search committee that needed to recognize change. You changed when you found a minister who sees you, who is willing to change and grow with you. And in this moment, in this historic moment of post-pandemic chaos, you are dreaming and changing more. I know that change is hard. I know that some of you may be at your breaking point. I understand. And here's the clincher. If you hadn't changed, your story might be that of the dying church. But because of your resilience, because of your creativity, because you were willing to embrace change, your story is different. Your story is one of thriving and of flourishing. All that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. But there's something that hasn't changed. It's something that we did today here. It is something we do each and every year on Membership Sunday. It's our commitment to each other. Look around you. Look at the faces who are next to you, behind you. It is that commitment, it is that face that you have connected with. You wish that person's flourishing, and they wish it for you. That is what has not changed, what will not change, because deep at the core of this congregation is that commitment. Oh, friends, we are lucky. We are so lucky to be part of a community that is committed to each other. On this Membership Sunday, I want us to understand the reality that is beyond these walls for so many Unitarian Universalist churches and other denominations in this moment. I want us to celebrate. This is our moment. Let us celebrate our thriving. Let us shine our chalice of our community brightly. May we continue to adapt and evolve into our mission so that we may be a beacon lighting our way, lighting Unitarian Universalism into the future.
Would you please rise as willing and able and join us in singing our closing hymn 121, We'll Build a Land.
Hallelujah.
beloveds, build a land. And one of the best ways we can do that is by going on after this service for our annual meeting. If you are not a member, you are still welcome to stay and watch us do the business of this church through our democratic values. If not, you are welcome to move along on your way and enjoy this beautiful afternoon. Friends, let us build a land flowing with justice and love. May it be so.
Go lift it up, love bless your way. Moonlight, starlight, guide your journey into peace and the brightness of day. Go lift it up, love bless your way. Moonlight, starlight, guide your journey into peace and the brightness of a day.
And now please join me once more in saying the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish the light of this chalice, but not the light in our hearts. Until we meet again, may the warmth of our community carry you.
See you back here in 15 minutes, please, for the annual meeting. Thank you.